My name is Marquita Brown. I live in Madison, Wisconsin. I'm 34 years old. The story that I'm about to tell you is of me being raped by my dad's girlfriend's brother. I grew up in a single parent home with 3 other siblings. My mom had 2 girls and 2 boys. As a child, I was the problem child. I was a child that had a lot of anger in me, and my mom didn't know why. In school, I used to get in trouble a lot, argue with kids and adults. My anger stemmed from me being raped. I felt like I had a lot of anxiety and depression, and I used to get in trouble a lot. I used to pinch kids at school and pick on my siblings, and the only person that I didn't disrespect was my mother because I had a lot of respect for her. My mom and dad broke up when I was young. I stayed with my mom most of the time. When I was younger, my brother and I would stay with my dad at his girlfriend's house. My dad's girlfriend, she used to do my hair with a straightening comb, and I would lay across her lap when she did it. But when I used to close my eyes going to sleep, she would burn me on the ear and say that because I'm going to sleep, the straightening comb is burning me on my ear. So I didn't really like her. I didn't think my dad's girlfriend or her brother were good people, or the mother either, because the mother tried to get me and my brother to come stay with her, and my mom told her no. I had a close relationship with my mom and my dad. They just weren't in the same household. Me and my brother was 5. I was like 5 or 6 when we were staying over there. I really didn't express a lot to my dad. I didn't really talk to my dad, like have those conversations. I just used to play with my brother. No, when I was younger, I was like really quiet and shy, and I didn't speak up a lot. I didn't tell my dad that I was burnt on the ear with a straightening comb because I didn't know if I should tell him or not. I was 5 or 6 years old when we went down to stay with my dad at his girlfriend's house. And one day I went outside with his girlfriend, and I had on this black and red outfit, and my stomach was showing a little bit. And I looked up, and her brother, he grabbed his crotch when he looked at me. The next night, my dad and his girlfriend left, and my dad had put my brother and I down to go to sleep. And I woke up in excruciating pain, and my clothes were off, and I was in the brother's lap. And I was crying, saying, "It hurt, it hurt." But he kept forcing himself inside of me. And after he was done, he asked, was I going to tell on him? And I was crying and wiping my eyes, and I said no. And my dad's girlfriend used to be next door at the neighbor's house, like playing cards or something. So I went over there and I asked her, could I come over there where she was? And she screamed at me, but she let me come on in the house. The next day, my dad and his girlfriend left the house again, and the brother was there, and my brother was on the bed sleeping. So I was scared, so I got in the bed and I laid on my back, and I pretended to be asleep as well. And I held the crotch of my pants closed with my hand, and he got on top of the bed and removed my hand, and he was about to take my clothes down. And my dad and girlfriend came in the house, and he jumped off the bed and ran in the other room. My dad's girlfriend's brother was around 20 to 25 years old when he raped me. When we used to go over there, him and my dad used to play games, video games, and when my dad beat him, he got mad and he bit the controller and he stomped it on the floor. And I was scared. I didn't know why he was acting like that. So from then on, I was afraid of him. My dad's girlfriend brother used to stare at me all the time, and it made me feel uncomfortable. He only got a chance to do it once. After that, my brother and I didn't go back over my dad's girlfriend's house. I remember one time though, I told my dad that I was hurting down there, and I remember my dad putting like Vaseline down there, and that was it. I didn't tell my dad what happened to me because I was really young, and I didn't know that it was wrong for adults to do that to children. I didn't know if I was supposed to tell him or not. I told my mom when I was in my 20s, and I was afraid to tell her on the phone. I was crying, and I told her what happened, and she was like, why didn't you tell me? We would have killed him. That's why I didn't tell my parents though when I got old enough to know that it was wrong, because I didn't want them to go to jail for killing him. When I told my dad what happened, he told me that it wasn't nothing that I did wrong. It was his girlfriend's brother's fault, not mine. And he said that he still loved me, no matter what. When I got older, I started dating and being in relationships. And I would have sex with men, even though I didn't want to, just to have some form of affection. I was in physical abusive relationships and verbal abusive relationships as well. When I got older, and I told my sister that I wanted to come to Chicago where she was to have a better life. And when I got to Chicago, I got into this support group called RVA, Rape Victims Advocates, and that helped me out a lot. After I was raped, I felt worthless and unloved, and I felt alone. I felt like I was the only one in the world that it happened to at the time. I felt like he took my innocence away. I felt like I wasn't pure anymore and that nobody would ever care about me. I had suicidal thoughts and I was struggling with depression, and I would drink a lot. The next time I saw my dad's girlfriend's brother he was on TV on the news talking about something that happened in the neighborhood, and I never confronted him at all. I'm in therapy now. In Madison, Wisconsin, they don't have support groups for rape victims. I want to start my own support group for rape victims so that a lot of women can be helped and not feel like they are alone. I go to behavioral health counseling now, and it's been helping me. I have it every 2 weeks. When I came to Madison, Wisconsin, I found out that I had bipolar 2 depression, because I had depression at a young age. I remember sitting in my room, just sitting on the bed, like holding my head, wanting to scream because I didn't know what was wrong with me, like why I was so sad all the time. And when I came to Madison, Wisconsin, I found out that I had bipolar 2. I think my story can help other women by helping them feel like they're not alone, and that somebody else went through it too and survived, and that we are not victims, we are victors. In 2010, I got pregnant and I started writing a poem, but then it evolved into a book. Unfortunately, I had a miscarriage, but my book was published in December 2021. It's a book, it's a autobiography of my life. And it's called Broken Innocence, No Longer Pure. And it's about me being raped and about like how it affected my life after I was raped, as far as dealing with relationships and coming like into myself and caring about myself and my self-worth. I felt like I was too trusting with men. Like I would meet men online, I would go to their houses without knowing them. I would have sex with men when I didn't want to, and I would still stay with them after their abusive behavior towards me because I had low self-esteem at the time. I had really bad relationships with men, and I slept with a lot of men. I felt like I was promiscuous a little bit because I didn't have to talk about sex, and I didn't know how to deal with relationships. I didn't get to talk about how I should respond when a man approached me. I decided to tell my mom and dad what happened because I was writing my book and I didn't want them to find out that way. I wanted to tell them myself. I wanted them to hear that I was raped from my mouth instead of my book. Something that I am most proud of now is my 2 daughters, having my 2 daughters. They saved my life. I used to have suicidal thoughts, and I felt like I didn't want them to walk in on me and see that I was lifeless. I didn't want my children to see that, so they saved my life.